So in the studio today, I'm actually refurbishing this very naturalised mirror, which had, as you can see, it was an old recycled mirror, and over time all the things have actually dropped off, and you can see I've actually started gluing things back together. And also I'd collected a lot of the stuff that had fallen off and extra things, because it was a very beautiful mirror beforehand, and very natural, and I wanted to just make it more fantastical. Nature is fantastic, and all these items, you know, the fir cones and things that you collect on walks, and I was out with the girlies last weekend and we collected some fir cones and things, and it was lovely to do that. And then when you've got these fir cones and things, you either put them in a bowl or do something, you know, with them as such. And I've got lots of projects for the autumn, you know, works, you know, that you can actually do with fir cones and pips and seeds and things like that. And the reason why I giggle is because I like to do fantastical things with them. So taking this mirror and giving it a new lease of life, I want to make it more fantastical. And you can see I want to add in things like these, which are wooden beads, okay, and they're on an embroidered string, and it's just literally cross stitch to hold these beads together. Cross stitch, chain stitch to actually hold these beads together. And I want to drape other things on it. This one, this wreath here, this actual swag, was made by Carol many years ago, and she gave it to me because obviously you know, it was looking worse for wear, and she said, oh, you can use it for the window in the old art room, which I did. But then what I did is I added, as you can see on here, I've added lots of glitter, lots more berries, glued and stuck a lot more things in it to make it, bring it up to date. And of course now it's had a couple of uses in the window, and that needs refurbishing. So if you've got anything like a flower arrangement or something around that you think, oh, I'd like to use, but I'd like to do that something different, or you want to make a wreath and you've collected lots of pine cones and things like that together, and you can actually stick them just on an ordinary ring, and then make them more fantastical. So I'm adding beads and things like this, you can see here. I'm not adding glitter to this one yet, because I think it needs to stay more naturalised, but a bit more, like I say, I have in mind fantastical. So I'm literally just using a hot glue gun, and if I take this piece, because I haven't actually glued this in place yet, so I'm just going to glue these in place. Now I've sanded down this mirror excuse me, and then what I've done is I've started to add in, you can see you need quite a lot of glue, and then I'm just going to pop them actually in place and hold them for a while, and then again re-glue. This is a hot glue project. You can use other glues, but on something like this you do need hot glue to actually just keep it in place. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is just build up. So in these places I will then add in a little fir cone, and it is that thing of almost flower arranging it in place. Okay, there we go. Alright, so once those are all there, and you just keep building up and up. I'm going to have to put some more glue actually on the frame so that it holds it in place. Hot glue is, as many of you know that have used hot glue, it can be very temperamental. So it's a little bit of patience to actually get it all glued in place. I'm going to just move that one and then glue that down. Alright, and then glue it underneath. And you've got to be health and safety conscious as well, because hot glue bends. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got a tub and I am literally just gluing it all in place. And it's very easy to do. You're literally just covering your frame. Now I've got a few things that I've actually already glued in place, and some of it actually came out from where it was originally placed. So I'm actually just covering the frame with glue, and you can cover anything. If you think any shape, and then just hold it in place while it settles in. Okay. I'm going to go that way. You can see where the glue already was on here. Just hold the glue stick in. There you go. Put some underneath. And it's a matter then of just building it up so that you've got your frame or your wreath. If you're doing it on a wreath, your wreath is actually covered. And this is what I'm going to do all the way around. Okay. Now this is quite an unusual one, so I actually want to use that in a place that is quite prominent. I think here will do. It's very spontaneous. You can literally, if you want to, is place the pieces where you want them. And like I say, don't worry about seeing the glue at the moment, because what you're going to do is actually cover you need something to hold it up underneath. So I'm just going to hold these in place just while they dry a bit. Okay. And those go great in there. A glue stick. And it's literally gluing one thing to another to make sure that they stay in place. And then just holding it until it goes off. Now, and I just added in lots more fir cones, lots more seed pods, and you can get packs of fir cones and things online for flower arranging, or go to your local flower arranging shop and get them. But I just like getting them when I'm out on walks and just keep adding. It's that thing of you keep adding to make it quite complex design. Okay, so you can see I've got the main frame all near enough covered now. It didn't take long. You've just got to put one on and make sure you then support it. If you put the ones on the outside first, it probably would have been a bit easier. But I'm wanting to see, because I'm wanting to see where the gaps and things are. And then it's a matter of actually putting the things in to secure them. So you can see this is a nut. So I'm going to go those. These are lovely at this time of year, because there's so much about when you go out for your walks. You know, There we go. So I'm just going to continue to do this. And you can see you've got to put quite a lot on, because otherwise with the heat of indoors, you know, they will fall off, because of course they start to expand. Now at the end I will take off any of the threads of the glue as I'm actually putting the paint and things on. Okay, so now I'm going to start squeezing in. I'm going to put this one over here actually. There we go. So I want to put that one in there. And what happens, they all start to support one another as you put the glue on. There you go. And when we were out on our walk, I purposely got lots of small fir cones so that I could actually refurbish this. But it was all natural colour, and you can tell what I've done is actually gone over it with the bronzer. I love, you know, adding those extras, because I like watching video games and sci-fi movies that have got these fantastical landscapes, and then adding my own sort of stint to it. So I'm now going to start adding some of the what I call fillers. Now this has got two together. Now the stick won't go in, so I'm going to break off the stick, keep the end of the stick because you might use that for something else. That's too big to go in there. You need to sort of find a place. There we go. You'll start finding places where they will naturally go. You've got to think about balancing. And when I mean balancing, I mean items so that they have got, you can see this is an actual flow around this. And I've picked out key focals. So these fungi, which were dried very, very slowly, okay, over a long period of time to actually get them to this. Okay. And now I'm just going to fill up the gaps. I'll put things in the gaps that I can see. Whoop. I'm putting them in at different angles too. If you put them in at different angles, you will then get where you get almost like a landscape, but also it gives you different focal points depending on where you look at it in the room. You will see different items. Here we go. Let's pop that under there. I've also got to be aware that it's got to go flat on the wall. So if I just part that gently. So I've got to be aware that it's got to sit flat to the wall. At the moment it's actually on a block of wood so that it's raised off the surface of the table. But I've just got to make sure that it's the same flatness all the way around so that it will go against the wall. And if anything sticks out, I'll then have to just gently prise it out. So there we go. Right, okay, now I want to start adding in as well some of these. So these stop and start in places. Right, okay, can you see that sort of swag? Now this swag is actually wooden beads, and the wooden beads have been chain stitched to with a thread, a brown, just an ordinary brown embroidery thread. And that's what I like to do in an evening, is actually make up pieces to put on. And I knew I needed to not only fill the gaps in here, but also it's adding that crustacean. Nature is all about unusual surfaces, things that have grown, and that's what I'm adding here. It's that, and it's draping. But the main thing about this, it was the recycling of this beautiful mirror. Certain eras do certain things, and in the 1980s there were a lot of dried flower arrangements that were inspired by them. We're still doing those, but we're doing it in a very contemporary way. I like, as I've told you before, fantastical, so I'm actually making my things fantastical. Nature is wonderful, and love it to bits, but I'm now needing that little bit extra because I'm sharing in a completely different way. Now these are, if you think, these are the cob nuts, and we've lost the cob nuts, they've already gone, and these are the little husks, and they're almost like stars. So I'm popping them on, and you might just have to put the glue on the tips. So there we go. Ooh. So you put the glue on the tips so they stay in place, and you can see I'm sort of layering them across, all different sizes and also all different thicknesses, so that they go into the different gaps. And some are actually a natural, they've got a natural curve to them, so they will automatically go in. Now this is a very unusual shaped acorn. It's almost cylindrical, so I'm going to put that in there, and I've got several of those. And just keep looking around, and I think I'll put that one there because I want to continue this almost anemone like. Again, it's a seed husk, and it would have had quite a giant seed in actually. Here's another swag. Now that swag I was thinking of putting so that it continued, that one here. So from that acorn that I put in earlier, and it's just a matter of draping it around the things of interest. And you've got to remember as well that at the moment this is flat on the table, so do remember, if you're making a wreath, that things will hang off, and that is also very lovely. Okay, and you can see I've hidden that, so that actually hides that opening there. Now I've also got things like earrings, okay, that are, if I pop it on there you'll see. Now these are bronzed earrings, and they've got leaves and things on. I'm actually keeping them as earrings, and that's that thing of draping off. So I'm actually going to just, with the actual hook, put glue on the hook. Mind my fingers. You can use a pair of tweezers and then just hook those in and squeeze it round. Now when you're using hot glue, I always have a glass of water, bowl of water by the side of me, because if you then happen to catch your fingers with the hot glue, you can immediately put them in. Alright, so you can see. So there we go. I know I need some more around the sides and at the top. Okay, I can see where there's gaps. Put some more glue on that actually. It's got a lot more sides to put in. There we go. This is an ideal project for this time of year because the weather's getting quite cold and we want to do things inside, but also we might have collections, and it's looking at our collections in a different way and using them so that sorry if I keep getting my head in the way. You know, I have got hazelnuts and things like that, but I don't think that they're actually appropriate. I have got a box of things that I've collected which are all natural, and here it is. Right, so I'll just put my glue gun aside and unplug it for a little while just to let it cool down. Now what I'm going to do is take the brush now. I think what I'll do, if I just take the lid off completely, and I'm just going to squeeze some of the paint actually into the lid. Now I'm just going to dry brush, so, and as I'm going I will remove some of the plastic strands, but I'm literally just going over. Now on the fir cones I'm just going over the tips of the actual fir cones that I've just added on, because they're the ones that would catch the light and catch the shine. So I'm literally just dry brushing. I know I've just come out of the water with the brush, so I have got some, and then just go inside. Now when I was actually doing the rest of it, I'd already dusted down with a soft paintbrush to remove a lot of the dust, and people often say to me, but Jane, they get lots of dust. Natural things with all these little crevices and things are ideal if you just get a brush and just dust them, and of course then it will show you what things are coming loose, and you can re-glue them then straight at the beginning. Now you can see I'm just gonna go over those, and then later I will add beads and things like that to them. These little cob nuts, I'm just going to do the centres because again I want to put centres in. Now if there's a great big glob of glue, just paint it, and what it does, it almost looks like soil in between, if you can see them. Okay, well, I can see quite a lot, so I'm literally painting over where, and it almost goes jewel-like because it's plastic. It goes jewel-like. Again, there's fir cones here. Okay, and as you can, there's no thing to it. I'm just literally picking up areas that I can see are catching the light, painting out any of the glue so it's not glue anymore. Just move that metal out of the way. Now there are some beads, and some of the beads on those strands I will go over just by dry brushing, so certain areas will, you know, pick up the texture. So what have you been collecting? Have a look at your collections. See how you can make them more fantastical. Sometimes just sorting them is really lovely. I know I had great fun thinking, oh, how am I going to make this different from the original natural Fircones to something more fantastical to what I would want to do. Now this one, this seed head, I'm actually going to paint the whole of the inside as such, leaving areas, and then the rough surfaces just dry brush over, and what will happen is they will pick up the shine. Well, that's actually got a seed in. If I just move that seed, because it's quite loose, this is where I need a pair of tweezers to go and get some of those. So it's a matter of continuing and painting. And if you want to paint, I mean, I'm using a copper acrylic here. If you wanted to, you could, if you've got a colour theme, you could literally paint them the colour theme using several different colours, and I may still do that. Alright, it's just having a look at each one, seeing what it needs. Some don't need painting over. Painting out the glue. Okay, and then taking off some of the strings, the glue strings, and that's going to be a process, probably the whole project. I will keep, you know, doing the glue strings and continue to paint the hobnuts. Okay, and then some of the ones that I added up here. Okay, so I'm going to continue this, and what I'll do is I'll show you towards the end how it actually looks. Okay, look at these surfaces, just wonderful textures, lots of different techniques, and there's beads there that have been braided together. There's bronze earrings that have been added, lots of pods, peach stone, pips, acorn husks. There's lots coming in around, you can see. There we go. Cob nuts, these are the husks. And if you want to know how to make this, go on to my YouTube channel. Look, there's a little woodland moth that got caught in one of the spider's webs. So I've popped it on here so that it's beautiful, and it sort of captures it too. How beautiful it is. There we go. There's some bronze metal earrings that I've added, because when this mirror hangs up it dangles. Some dried bracket fungus there that took quite a while to dry out because it's quite firm. They're quite solid now. There we go. Alright, there we are. So I just thought I'd show you one of the autumn projects that's going on in the studio, so you don't miss. You know, go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, and then you'll be able to see the different projects. A lot of incrustation this month, a lot of autumnal colours.